Hey everyone, welcome to my 2024 year in review video. This is the third annual time that I've done one of these, and this is one of those videos where I just don't really have a script to follow. I just sit in front of the camera and I talk, and I think it's a really good opportunity for me to reflect on how the year went, what went well, what didn't, and what I have in store for the future. And I try to add a little bit of value in here for you guys as well, because it probably helps you to see my thought process behind the scenes a little bit. And also, what are the things that I think are the most helpful for people after I reflect on how the year went and working with clients throughout that whole year. So let's just get into it. Now, 2024, the biggest thing that happened was I moved from Portland, Oregon to San Diego, California, about halfway through the year. And it was an incredibly challenging overall. I can't even begin to tell you how hard it was. Way more than I ever thought it was going to be. Not necessarily logistically, but in terms of just how much goes into emotionally and mentally moving down to a new city. Moving away from all of my close friends, moving away from family, and it's challenging. But Portland, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Pacific Northwest, but it's not exactly an awesome place to be in the winter. It was definitely taking a toll on me, and I grew up there, so it was home for me. But if you don't ski or snowboard, when it comes to the months of about September through May, which is a majority of the year, it's not a great place to be. There's a lot of rain. It's overcast almost every single day, and it's just not awesome. So the seasonal depression really does hit. And I'm not someone who was very susceptible to that in the beginning of the first, 10 years of me living there. But as I got a little bit older and I wanted to be more active and I wanted to just do more things with my life, I realized living there was pretty limiting. So I didn't really move down to San Diego for business aspirations or because there was something to be gained here other than just I tried to think of where is the best place that I could be that has the best weather and will be the most conducive to my happiness. And it just so happens to be here because I've never met someone that's lived here for an extended period of time and didn't at least like it significantly. So I think that's a pretty good sign. So fast forward about 6 months and I've established myself here to a certain extent, and there's a lot of really great opportunities here. What I've learned about San Diego in general is just in terms of the fitness industry that there's not a lot of people down here doing anything more than just basic fitness stuff. There's not a lot of people doing like progressive things, methodologies that are, up and coming on social media. You don't see a lot of that here, which is actually surprising considering it's such a big city, but I think that leaves a lot of opportunities. So I think there's some cool things coming in 2025 for the gym business alone that are going to be really great. I kind of want to turn this place into San Diego's premier, let's say, up and coming gym and expand that over time. Hopefully, if I can have a couple of business partner relationships work out, that might be a really good way to go. So we'll see how it goes. But that's kind of how it went in terms of like the gym space itself. To be completely honest with you, the gym has never been one of those things that's like the big prize for me. It's really just there for me to sharpen my sword, to practice what I preach, and also just to, I think there's a certain degree of, frankly, respect that you get when you have your own space and you've built something that you can say, this is mine. And I think that's important for someone that is trying to have a very well-established course within the industry, someone that's trying to, frankly, be someone. There were periods of 2024 where I was very much complacent. I was doing the same thing over and over again, and that's ultimately not how I want to be because I just got so wrapped up with the business side of things. I got so engulfed in creating content that I realized that my work with the people that I was actually trying to help was suffering a little bit. So I need that balance back. And so we got a lot into this year, a lot of foot specific stuff. I find that what I teach in my course, for example, is that about 70 to 80% of the people that you work with, when you do drills like I have on my YouTube channel, within my course, and my programs, that tends to work pretty well. but there's that 20 to 30% of people that are going to have some issues. And of those 20 to 30%, you tend to see that of those people, of that 20 to 30%, about half of them have some significant degree of foot or lower limb dysfunction that prevents them from holding on to adaptations. And it's really amazing what happens is you'll see someone get a great change on the table or a dynamic assessment, and you go have them walk just a couple of steps and they immediately lose it. They immediately lose any of the adaptation that they got because their foot can't interact on the floor with the way that it needs to for the rest of their body to follow. And so they can't manage that ground reaction force. So there's a huge component of the foot and how the foot interacts with the ground that is very important. And the way that those ground reaction forces are being managed for the rest of the body to follow suit and act in accordance with those ground reaction forces, I find is huge. So there could be two problems. One, there could be a problem with the foot in its ability to change shape biomechanically to interact with the floor and have the rest of the body act in accordance with that. But there's also a concept that has really changed the way that I've viewed a lot of what I do, and Applied Integration Academy in particular was one of the foundational ways that I have kind of opened my eyes to this, is this concept of grounding and how the body needs to be able to properly interact with ground reaction forces in order to better shift its center of gravity from side to side, better be able to get over to one side, own that side, get over to the other side. You have to be able to put force into the ground and have that work with certain biomechanical positions. But just because the foot can change shape doesn't mean that you're better able to necessarily ground in every context. So it is another layer to think about, but this grounding thing has really improved the way that I have been able to identify which side of the body we need to start addressing earlier. Because before, I would just look at the body rotationally and within table tests, and you would see like, oh, this person is turned to the right side or they're turned to the left side, which means that we need to turn them to the other direction and get them better moving in that direction. Well, not necessarily, because you can be turned to a given direction, but that doesn't mean that you are able to manage the ground reaction forces needed within the gait and movement cycle on that side. So that's why, a big reason why, and this isn't, it's a little bit of a plug, I guess, but the reason why I'm completely changing or upgrading my biomechanics course in 2025 is because we're introducing this concept of grounding in a way that I think is going to be very meaningful, but it's not like the old courses were wrong. It's just that this is an entirely, I guess, improved way to take what we've already been doing in the course, but add this little layer that's going to make everything make more sense, and it's going to explain more of those complex patients or clients that we have. And I'm really excited to release that in the live biomechanics course 2.0, as we're going to call it. So stay tuned for that. Now, the other thing that I really learned in 2024 is that there are a lot of people that can benefit from the type of work that I do, and there are a lot of people that do. And when I work with someone in person, I tend to see things go pretty well if they follow what I tell them to do. But the biggest hurdle is getting people to do the damn exercises correct. And if you've taken my course, then you probably know what I'm talking about. And this is personally the biggest struggle that I have. I can lay out a perfect 4K video that describes everything from multiple angles, exactly what they need to do, exactly what they don't need to do. I can teach it to them 20 different ways, but for some reason, because this stuff is so different than what the average person is used to, which is stretching and banded activation exercises, all the typical rehab stuff you see all over social media, it's just so hard for people to do these exercises properly unless you coach them up really effectively. And this is still something I'm not amazing at. I hope that I'm good at it, but I don't think that necessarily I'm as good as I'll ever be at it. And there's gonna be a breakthrough at some point that's gonna help people understand how they can do these things without so much noise and so much confusion on their end, because it is very challenging to do an exercise that's supposed to be a rehab or repositioning drill, yet don't exert a lot of effort. Don't try to force yourself into a position. Try to feel and sense these couple of things. Think about creating an association between, let's say, your foot arch and your glute, or your inner thigh and your heel, or something like that. It's just such a different way of doing things that people really struggle with it. So I think in 2025, my goal is going to be to continue to refine the process of coaching the exercises, getting people to do them right, helping them understand when they're doing it right or wrong, and be able to just progress that more and more. And it's getting better. It's just still something that I find very frustrating. And I don't know how much of it is me and how much of it is someone just not being very in tune with their body, or how much someone is just completely unfamiliar with it and they just need more time. But the biggest issue I see with people who want a quick fix is they come into my gym and they want to do one session or two sessions, and then they get a great change and great progress with me, and then they'll go away for a week, and then they'll come back and they'll be like, well, okay, I see some progress, but not as much as I did with you. And then I'll watch them do the exercises and it's just completely wrong. And it's just like, how can I help that person better do these things on their own? And it might just be that I need to progress people slower. It might just be that I need to get better at cueing, but we'll see. It's always something that's one of the biggest challenges of implementing this stuff. But everything has its pros and cons. And this is just me being honest about what those cons are when it comes to implementing this type of methodology. But like I said, I'm optimistic that it will get better. And the other exciting thing for 2025 I'm really looking forward to is continuing to further integrate with different types of practitioners. So now that I've established myself in San Diego a little bit at this gym, the goal now is to be able to continue to integrate with different types of practitioners, work alongside, like I've mentioned in many videos in 2024, airway people, myofunctional therapists, dentists, orthodontists, optometrists. I want to be working with all different kinds of people and practitioners, because that is the best way you can get someone to 100% or feeling 100%, or on the fast track to feeling as good as they can as early as they can. And like I said, 70-80% of the time, generally it's not that hard to get someone to feel better, but when it comes to that 20-30% of people, they do need a little extra help. And I do feel confident that with a team, you can address mostly everyone, assuming that you're hitting all realms of the biopsychosocial model and approach. Generally, I feel good about most people. Of course, there will always be the most challenging people and the challenging clients that you won't just bang your head against the wall because something doesn't click. And that's just always going to be the case, I think. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how well we can start to integrate a lot of the airway and dental things for the people that need that, which is not an insignificant amount of people. And also, I want to start working with a lot more athletes down here, because I find athletes are the ones that really respond well. Generally, when it comes to the methodology and practices that I implement, the people that are most in tune with their bodies are oftentimes the most adaptable, and oftentimes this stuff works really well with. So I'm really looking forward, and there are some opportunities to get some golfers, some basketball players, some soccer players in here next year, so it should be really cool. I'd love to do some case studies with those types of people as well. And also, I want to wrap up by saying, what do you guys want? Like, what do you guys want to see in 2025? Do you want to see more videos on a specific type of issue? Do you want to see more case studies? Do you want to see more conversational content? I don't know. I want you guys to let me know what you want out of this experience of watching my channel. What types of videos have you gotten the most out of? I'm open. So thank you guys for watching. That was my recap of the year, and I'll see you again, probably in this exact chair, about 365 days from now. I'll see you guys later.